All right, let's talk about something that is frankly terrifying. We're going to get into what happens when your private life, the things you think are safe, are suddenly at risk of being exposed for the whole world to see. It's a nightmare scenario, but there are some really powerful ways to protect yourself, and that's exactly what we're going to break down today. Just picture it for a second. You get a text, an email, some kind of message, and it's a threat. Someone has something on you, something deeply personal, and they're about to put it out there. The feeling that hits you is just pure, cold dread. Maybe it's an ex who won't let go, or a total stranger blackmailing you. Maybe someone is just harassing you online. Whatever it is, it feels like your entire world is about to be flipped upside down. And in that moment, you just feel completely and utterly powerless. And here's the thing you absolutely have to understand in these situations. Every single second matters. Because once that private information hits the internet and starts to spread, well, putting that genie back in the bottle is next to impossible. So what does that mean for you? It means you have to act fast. You have to get ahead of it. The goal is to stop the information from ever being published in the first place, or at the very least, to get it taken down before it goes everywhere. Getting on the front foot is your absolute best defense. Okay, so you might be thinking, wait a minute, isn't this a crime? Shouldn't I just call the police? And look, that's a totally fair question. It's most people's first instinct. And while you should report crimes, if your number one goal is keeping your information private, the police might not be your best first move. Let's look at why. And wow, the difference here is like night and day. A police investigation is, by its very nature, a public process. Your name could end up in reports, and tons of people, from officers to prosecutors, could end up seeing the exact information you're trying to hide. Now compare that to a specialist law firm. Their entire job is to protect your privacy. They fight to keep your name anonymous from the get-go, and they can move with incredible speed to get an emergency court order to stop the leak before it even happens. Okay, so if the police might not be the right tool for immediate privacy protection, what is? Well, this is where you get to flip the script. This is where we go from feeling that panic to feeling empowered, because there is a legal shield designed for this exact crisis. It's called a privacy injunction, and it's actually pretty simple. It is a direct order from a judge that legally bans a person or organization from publishing your private information. Think of it like a giant, legally binding stop sign. So let's break down why this is such a game changer. First, it just stops the publication, period. Second, and you really need to hear this, it makes no difference if the information is true or not. You don't have to get into arguments or admit to anything. The whole point isn't about truth, it's about your basic right to privacy. And what are we talking about here? All sorts of things. Your sexual orientation, private photos, your religious views, details about your health, your family. The law recognizes that this stuff is yours and yours alone, and your right to keep it that way often outweighs anyone else's desire to share it. All right, I know what a lot of you are probably thinking right now. This all sounds great if you're a rich celebrity, so let's just bust that myth right now. For a long, long time, the only time we ever heard about injunctions was when some famous person was battling a newspaper. That was the story. But the reality today, it's completely different. The right to a private life isn't just for the famous, it's for everyone. I mean, the whole landscape has shifted. It's not even close anymore. These days, the overwhelming majority of people who apply for these privacy injunctions are just regular private citizens who've been put in a terrible position and need that protection. So let's get down to brass tacks. Two big questions. How much does this all cost? And does it actually work in the real world? Okay, let's not sugarcoat it. The cost for one of these applications can run anywhere from £10,000 up to £100,000. And I know, that is a massive range. And that number on the high end sounds absolutely impossible. But there's a good reason for that range. So why the huge gap? Well, it really all comes down to the law firm you choose. Sure, the big, flashy city firms can charge an absolute fortune. But what's happened is that smaller, super specialized firms have popped up, and they've made this entire process way more affordable and accessible than it's ever been. And the big question, does this stuff actually work? Oh yeah. Look at these real cases. An injunction was given to a woman who was being harassed online with websites using her name. It was used to protect the transgender identity of a sex worker who was being threatened. It stopped a businessman from being blackmailed with intimate videos. And, yep, it was even used to protect a celebrity's private life regarding his sexuality. Totally different situations, but the same principle of privacy protected them all. Now look, this process isn't always a walk in the park. There are a few hurdles you might have to clear, but they are just that, hurdles, not roadblocks. And this is exactly what a good legal team is for, to help you get over them. You're mainly looking at three big challenges. First, you've got to show proof of the threat. Second, what if the person threatening you is anonymous? Well, you'll be happy to know that courts can issue injunctions against persons unknown. And third, you might have to argue against a claim that it's in the public interest for this information to be out there. A good lawyer prepares you for all of it. All right, so let's put this all together. Let's say you go down this road. What does winning actually look like? What can you get out of this at the end of the day?
Well, the outcomes here are actually really powerful. You can get that injunction to stop things from being published. You can get a legally binding promise that it'll never happen again. You can force them to remove the information from the internet. You can even get an apology, have them pay for damages and your legal fees, and even get a statement read in open court to clear your name.
You see, this is about so much more than just damage control. This is about you taking back the power, regaining control over your own life and your own story, and making sure the person who threatened you is held responsible.